I'm gonna put on an iron shirt and chase the devil out of earth. I'm gonna send him to outer space to find another race. I'm gonna send him to outer space to find another race.
It's 7:51 in Chicago. My name is Charles Thomas, sitting in this morning for Maze Jackson in my co-pilot seat, where I normally sit. Attorney Kimberly Egoin, one of our WVON commentators, and to her right is Amara Inya, another of our WVON commentators. And we have been talking this morning about this big press conference that some black elected officials and some black clergy will hold at 11 o'clock this morning, where they will address the issue of violence, such a concern as we approach the 4th of July holiday weekend. What can you say? What can you say to black people? What can you say to black people? What is the tone even that you take to somehow mitigate the violence when you have this press conference on July 3rd, less than 24 hours before the fireworks start?
I mean, I think that I would like to see a press conference announcing what has been done, what we are doing to address violence, and really what we are doing to adhere to our responsibility as elected officials, as community leaders. So often the press conference is just to say, it's pontificating. Have a press conference to say. I mean, Eddie Reed made a comment earlier about how the CBA, the Community Benefits Agreement with the Obama Presidential Center, and having a provision in there for youth hiring. We just had a new chair for the Aviation Committee and City Council for the City of Chicago for an $8.5 billion O'Hare expansion project. That's prime opportunity for those sorts of provisions that ensure that jobs are made available to particular communities, that there is a significant economic benefits communities. Have a press conference announcing what you've done and tie it into how what you are doing will reduce violence. I would listen to that press conference, but just one to talk about how bad violence is and why.
And the fact that we need resources in a very general way.
Right, and you are the people who are supposed to be getting those resources. So who are you talking to?
That press conference that you are referencing, in which they would announce what has been done, that would be a very brief press conference.
That's cold-blooded.
It's just the truth. It's the truth. And it would shine a light on all the things that we are missing.
Yeah. Hey, Mansong, you're on WVON, the talk of Chicago.
Hey, Hotep, Brother Charles.
Hotep, my brother.
To the two queens there. Y'all are awesome. And listen, I just wanted to very quickly veggie back, not piggyback, leave that pork alone. I want to veggie back on what Eddie Reed said. All that, what he said, makes sense. But the battle is first for the hearts and minds of our people. For if we lose that battle, we can't hope to win any other. So we got to change the young folks that are involved in the gangs and whatever. We have to change their mindset. And we need black nationalism, a strong dose of black nationalism and correct interpretation of our people's history to deal with that. Get them in front of Minister Farrakhan and let them see the fruit of Islam, some disciplined, positive soldiers in terms of the fruit. And, that will inspire these people. Explain to them how capitalism and profit and those bad values of individualism at the expense of the group is destroying our communities. They need a total mind transplant. So part of it, a big part of it, is changing their philosophy.
Thank you, Mansong. Thank you so much. I think he's kind of going back to what I was talking about, struggle. Willie, you on the line? Is this Willie Preston?
Thanks for listening. Yes, it is.
Yeah, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well. One of the things that I think has to be stated by the black elected officials, as well as the clergy, is they have to take some onus on the violence. They have to admit that they have failed, that they have not achieved what they were elected to achieve. But beyond that, I want to say that this is a good thing. I think it's potentially a good thing what they're doing. But I also think that they need to state emphatically, and not just speak to the black youth and black people. They need to speak to Hispanic groups, to white groups. They need to say that they are willing to go to jail. They're willing to disrupt the standard operation of government and business, the same way that they are told, like Congressman John Lewis is telling folks that he's going to do over immigration issues. Black elected officials have to admit that they're wrong, and they have to be willing to do something that they typically would not do, and that will disrupt the order.
Thank you so much.
Because the problem is that they're too much in order.
Thank you so much, Willie. We hear you loud and clear.
I think it's the community that needs to be willing to disrupt. That is the part, when I say that there should be distinctions between the elected officials and the community, I think that the community should be willing to disrupt.
The community disrupt, but I think that I would love to see some elected officials disrupt and not do what Mike Madigan on the state level tells them to do, or not do what Rahm Emanuel tells them to do on the city level. They have to be willing to disrupt. And they are the ones that I see who are not disrupting.
Because the community has been disruptive. They'll be out on the Dan Ryan on Saturday. There have been many protests and marches. So an example that comes to mind is when in CPS, when the budget was released, it was found in Latino schools that they had lost a disproportionate percentage of funding. A whole committee, the Latinos who they formed a committee to represent their interests in CPS. They all quit. They all left. Immediately, CPS backtracked on the budget cuts that they had made and said, we made a mistake. We need to go back and reallocate these funds, because those leaders quit. But they said, we will not be part of anything that is not representing our interests, which is disruptive. Okay. Now, at what point in time will you see our black elected officials say,
never,
we will step down from this committee, we will disrupt this committee meeting, we will do X, Y, and Z, because we are seeing that our interests are not represented.
And that's what Eddie Reed, I think that's what he meant by gangster.
Gangster.
Yes.
Okay.
They just gangster. Just say, hey, look, we're not going to, the airport, nothing's going to move unless we get our piece. Now, the Latinos have said that.
Yeah.
The black elected officials, what have they said? They have said nothing.
I don't see them doing that.
And they act like, well, we're working in back channels. They always give me that back channel.
No.
They do that so often. Oh, we're working behind the scenes.
And what
we're sawballs. We're working behind the scenes. I mean, come on, man.
And what I would like to say is, if they're doing this press conference, this would be a perfect opportunity to announce how they are rebuilding black infrastructure in the black community.
Bink.
Perfect opportunity.
You hit it dead on, center of the target. I'm going to get another phone call here before we have to go to the top of the hour break. Denise, you're on WVON 1690, the talk of Chicago.
Okay. I called with another comment, but I'm going to address the questions that you asked. And I agree with individuals who call, like Eddie Reed, about taking a stronger stance. And I think what some of these ministers could do is say that they're going to take their churches, and for 5 days out of the week, they will allow people in the community to establish businesses in these churches. We have all these churches in Chicago. They're not paying any taxes. Half of the people that live in the churches do not, they go to the churches, do not live in the communities that the churches are in.
Okay, you're going to have to pick it up because we got to go to break. You all right? Okay, I got to go. I'm sorry about that, Denise. But we're going to come back and talk more about this after news, traffic, and weather here on WVON, the talk of Chicago.
The talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation. 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
In Thailand, rescue is in sight. Trump's warning to NATO. I'm Evan Haining.